Hey y'all, welcome back to the Sous Chefs. We are here with another episode, and today we are shredding some bullshit.
Okay, I'd like to point out, this is a modified shredderation. We've decided that we really need to put our legal prowess onto a cinematic abortion. And we're spicing this. Today we're putting a film on trial. It's on appeal though. So today's film, thank you, Chris, is, what is it, Robert?
From Justin to Kelly.
So we have been tasked with shredding this film, but I decided that shredding it is not enough. Somebody has to take that extra step and defend this film, because we are also defense attorneys in addition to being other types of attorneys. We like to defend the little guy. So this is the way this is going to work. Is we're each going to have an opportunity to do our opening statements, and then the other person will act as the appellate court panel. There's only one of us, this isn't like an en banc hearing because I only got one of me and one of Robert. The world could not handle two of each of us or more, but we will treat it as an appellate style kind of oral argument. We'll each get to do our closing statements, and then once we have completed this, we're going to leave it to you, the viewers, to make the decision. Who was the winner? Was it the people who are defending this piece of shit, or is it the people who were honestly on the right side, which is that this movie is terrible? So I have a box in here, and this has two little papers in it with our names on it. So the first one that I select is going to be the person who will be doing, I guess, essentially the prosecution side for why does this movie suck? And that person is Robert.
Hey!
Robert has to, and the person who's defending it is me.
Kimber.
Shit. Okay, so
attorney, you can definitely defend it.
Well, I definitely can. I'm gonna have to defend this. So I guess I have to start, since I'm the one who's no, you're the one who's saying it's bad. I'm the one who's saying it's good, actually. So should we give ourselves a limit, like 3-minute opening statements?
I won't need that much, but go ahead.
All right. Okay. Well then, all right. I think let's keep it casual. All right. So court is now in session. The film on trial today is 2003's From Justin to Kelly, starring Kelly Clarkson, Justin Guarini, Anika Noni Rose, and some other motherfuckers. So
great intro.
counsel, will you please start with your opening statement?
May it please the court, my name is Chef Rob, and I am the counsel for From Justin to Kelly. Forgot the name of my damn client. Not the first time. So I will just say this movie is atrocious. I thought it was a cinematic disaster. There were no truly redeeming qualities about it at all, aside from the most obvious, and that's that Kelly Clarkson can sing. Other than that, an absolute waste of resources, time, energy, my time, Kimber's time. What a stain on the lives and careers of everyone involved. Thank God I never saw this, because I love Anika Noni Rose. This movie would make me question everything about her. It would make me question things about Kelly Clarkson, and we know she can sing. We watched American Idol. Justin Guarini, I wasn't checking for him anyway, but he was cool. And then I saw this movie and was like, dear Lord, why? And I understand why no one ever speaks of this film. I understand why I didn't watch it in 2003 when I was, 14 or 15? And I wish I hadn't watched it at 34. This movie is like 20 years old and it is terrible. And I'm going to show you exactly why in this argument.
Oh, may it please the court, Attorney Kimber Russell, on behalf of the appellee. Is it the appellee or the appellant? Either way, it's the one. I'm here to put before the court, to put to you that From Justin to Kelly is unreasonably maligned. In fact, is so good. There are so many great qualities to this film that I'm going to use all of my skills of an attorney to redeem it. It will happen. So please, won't you please? Won't you please hear my pleas that this film has everything. If you like a film that you don't know the name of the characters for 40 minutes into the film, this film is for you. If you want to see a film that was clearly shot on a flip phone or from a prototype of an iPhone that didn't have a working camera, this film is for you. If you like films where they shoot the first take every time, this film is for you. And this, along with many other of the 5 pages of notes I carefully took when I watched my client's film last night, you will have no cause but to find this film is in fact a cinematic masterpiece and must be given its due rewards. I now cede my time to my opposing counsel and will now assume the role of the appellate judges while he makes his case. Counsel, the floor is yours.
Whew, where to start?
First of all, counsel, I have a question for you.
Okay.
How would you characterize the music in this alleged musical?
Not really music.
In what way? I'm trying to wrap my head around the fact that this is a musical and we have the winner of American Idol, the OG, and the runner-up, Justin Guarini, who both are, well, Justin's a fine singer. Kelly won. So how would you describe how these numbers played out for us?
Okay, here's the thing. When Justin, Kelly, and Anika Noni Rose were singing, cool. Like the singing itself, the skill, I don't know much about singing, but they sounded good. If you listen to the actual song, you would be embarrassed for everyone involved. So I guess my description is embarrassing.
I'd like to know, I want to drill down more in that, counsel. Okay. Could you please give us more? So what specifically were the most problematic elements? We know that some of the elements of bad musicals are people not doing their own singing, people doing their own singing but phoning it in, or possibly some white person starts rapping for no reason. Did you see any of these things occur in this particular film?
I'm glad you brought that up, Your Honor. One of the weirdly main side characters is a white man who goes by the name of Brandon. He is also the shirtless hottie and party boy of the film. And he does not wear a shirt the entire movie. Well, when he does, it's open. For some reason, the cast of the movie burst out into a random song that everybody knew and a choreographed beach dance. Then once that was over, Brandon decided to rap to his homeboy about why he should ditch the girl that he saw at the beach or something like that. Like, this movie is so bad, I just tried to forget it as soon as I watched it. And that
in the
wasn't one
lack
of
of
my things.
memorability, I think is interesting that you point out, counsel, because I find in the court of public opinion, which is where we're at today, our job is to determine, is there any redeeming quality to this film, which was indeed clearly made on a very quick timetable to capitalize on the first iteration of American Idol and the hugely popular show that it was, and how everybody was obsessed with this. So, what is your estimation of how this film was made technically? What are the technical issues that you see in the making of this film?
Okay, well, the casting, the directing, the cinematography, the music, the choreography, the wardrobe, the makeup, the hair, the storyline, the plot, the only thing that I didn't absolutely hate was Kelly Clarkson. And also, well, this is also from Kelly Clarkson. And I mean, Anika Noni Rose being in any movie is always a plus. But Kelly Clarkson weirdly did a good job in a terrible movie. She sang. She was a feminist. She was dedicated to her craft. Even though she gave into that weird early 2000s long skirt, multiple layers, knee-high chunky boots look, the knee-high chunky boots worked. I loved them.
Well,
I thought they were great.
it does sound like you have found some redeeming. Am I wrong in that I'm hearing that
Well,
there were
because you
some,
asked, Your Honor.
other than the fact that you found the cinematography, the lighting, the casting, the soundtrack to be problematic? Can you go into more depth in what issues you had with the hair and makeup?
Specifically, the highlights. The highlights.
Are we talking chunky blonde streaks for no apparent reason?
Yes, no rhyme or reason, but it seems like they pulled the hair through some holes or some shit, bleached it. But my thing is, like, and maybe it's because I've watched too many Brad Mondo reaction videos. I'm like, people do this balayage thing and it looks really good. I wish somebody had known what this was in early 2000s, because Kelly Clarkson's hair, those highlights were weird as fuck. The styles they put in, the weird like devil horn thing when she was like the bad girl coming for her revenge. That was really weird when she wore her dad's ties as a skirt around a weird denim waist. Then the length of her hair was just a very odd length. Like, it was too short to put into a real ponytail, but not too long for anything. Too short for everything, but I guess long enough that you could call it hair.
Speaking of too long and too short, can you describe for us what are the skirt lengths we're looking at? Are we looking at a lot of midriffs? And does it appear that there was an actual stylist on set?
There absolutely was a stylist on set. That person should never work again. And I don't mean that in like as a personal attack. It's just that if this is what you created, I don't know that we can trust you. And I don't know that anyone on a set should trust that person. I don't know. That's not what we're here to litigate. But these skirts were all weird. The waist on everything was so low, so low.
Can you tell me, counsel, were there jean skirts at any time?
Well, the opening shot is Kelly Clarkson in a jean skirt that sits low on her hips and goes down to almost her ankles, but just enough so you can see that her boots are really tall. And yeah, but she was dedicated to her craft, and she was a feminist. She wasn't putting up with no bullshit. She wasn't there for the fuck boys. She let each and every one of them know, I'm not here for it, girl. And she let the dude down easy when he was obsessed with her, which, I mean, I don't necessarily think that that's necessary. I think men need to learn to chill, but you know, She did. And then when he came down there to get all up in her business, she set him straight and was like, bruh, I see you as a brother. Please let go of this idea that we would be anything more and go back home. So
I have some questions for you, counsel, about the tell me more about these fuckboys. I am aware that there is a through line of a somewhat I read the pleadings. I'm fully informed. I see mention of a Pennsylvania posse. Can you tell me more about Pennsylvania posse, who they are, what are their aims, and are their goals worthy?
No, they are not worthy. Although, because it's spring break, if that was their name just for spring break, it's a terrible name, but the aims are fine. It's spring break, it's Miami, people are half naked, everybody is lubricated with alcohol. So if you feeling a little loose and you want to get some, cool. I'm cool with that. But I also think it's very bizarre to team up with people and like, yeah, we're gonna go down here and we're gonna have sex. Like that shit is just weird. But also, if you want to be like sleeping with everybody, that's cool. You know, I don't judge on that. But I do think it's weird that like Brandon and Alexa were pressuring their friends to not be who they were, but to like become clones of them. Like Brandon wanted Justin to not fool with Kelly and to go out and bang everybody. He got mad at his homeboy who had the cyber girlfriend. That's what he wanted to do. They were supposed to meet up. Like, let him meet up with her. Why are you discouraging this? Alexa, she is a terrible person. What did I call her in my notes? I called her a shady, sabotaging, cock-blocking friend.
Wow.
And that's because she's one of those, and again, this is my issue with the writers, but I've seen this from all genders and no genders. That friend who sees that you like somebody that they would never even think about and decides, oh, you like them? I gotta have you. That is Alexa. Weirdly enough, we did not learn her name until the movie was half over.
This is a fact. I did notice from the pleadings that were submitted that it wasn't until let me look at this. 41 minutes to figure out that Anika Noni Rose's name was Kaya. I believe that somewhere in the pleadings that were submitted to me that the white girlfriend who was not Kelly Clarkson had been referred to as just bad friend or that white bitch or until we found out 45 minutes in that she was in fact named Alexa. Brandon, according to my pleadings, the only reason that we found out that his name was Brandon is because he began rapping. Yes. And he said, listen to Brandon. I also have in the pleadings that the other friend, the third member, the member of the Pennsylvania posse, was in fact named Eddie. We found that at 51 minutes in that Eddie was in fact named Eddie because there was also, according to these pleadings that I have in front of me, there was a side character who believed that Brandon had been messing with this girl, Inga, and this dude was this big fancy dude, and he was mad. He breaks into their motel room and starts attacking the person that had been called Buckethead Guy, or Buckethead Nerd, or eventually he was called Dead Red Dork. But in fact, his name was Eddie, and he managed to befriend this man and tell him that he was in fact being a bad boyfriend. Do you, counsel, find that Eddie, the Dead Red Dork, was in fact one of the more enlightened and forward-thinking, non-toxic men in this film?
I don't believe there were non-toxic men in this film. But I guess if you had to give that label to someone, he would get it. I would also like to point out that Inga's boyfriend is clearly 45. and he's supposed to be like 20. So I had a problem with the fact that, like, I mean, I guess Justin and Kelly were like close to their 20s or something like that, if in their 20s, but everybody in this movie just looks so old.
According to the pleadings, it does appear that this movie is allegedly set in a time when it is spring break for college students. Do you have any indication, counsel, that any of these people in the film actually were in college, were enrolled in college, or ever mentioned any school that they attended?
As far as I know, no, but Anika Noni Rose might have gone to one of them schools.
I have more questions.
Oh, you mean in the movie? Sorry,
in the movie, yes.
In real life.
We're in the film. Were they actually taking a break from college, or did they all just decide to go to Miami for an undisclosed amount of time? And were you able, counsel, to determine what the timeline was in this film? How long were they in Miami?
A week. They were there because when the two best friends, who were introduced as her two best friends somehow, when they were bothering her while she was at work, pressuring her to take time off, they were like, what are you going to do with your week off? So I assume that she has a week off from school, not a week off from singing in an empty bar. So that, I guess, is our clue that it's spring break. And then the Carlos, the bus boy, cook, dishwasher, server guy, who Kaya hooks up with, calls her a spring breaker and tells him, why don't you go hang out with those young college kids? So, but then somehow she convinces him to take her out. He takes her to a bar in a warehouse. Of course, in hindsight, in 2020 thoughts, me and everyone I watched the movie with were like, oh my God, this feels like human trafficking, because they're in an alley, there's no people, and it's a warehouse. And we were all like, don't go in that damn warehouse. What are you doing? But I think we kind of forgot that we were watching From Justin to Kelly, and American Idol would not do that. But then she goes in and she's like, ooh, what is this? And then somehow, not only does she know how to do the dancing, she knows the songs. And I was like, okay, like, y'all ain't even like helping us suspend disbelief anymore. Like, come on. Not that they could ever do that in this movie, but it's like they didn't even try. Like, oh, I don't know this. Now all of a sudden you leading the dance and singing the song over the people on the stage. Then, ooh, I thought it was so terrible. She made this man lose his job.
I had questions about that too, counsel. It appears that there seems to be some kind of class struggle through line that was being depicted through the character of Carlos. How did you feel that? Did you feel that was successful? Do you think that it belonged in a spring break film?
I would not put it in a spring break film, but I'm also not American Idol is on Fox.
Yes.
Well, they pretend to be about family values. So, you have to have that lesson where it's like, you should respect people despite their class status. There's no difference between us. But also you need to be aware that sometimes your privilege will cause these problems for people.
I did have a big problem in the
but
pleadings.
I thought it was weird that the Black woman had to be the one who did it.
That's the issue that I saw, counsel, that does lead me to feel a little bit like I am somewhat persuaded that this is problematic in that the one Black character manages to get the one Latino character fired from his job. But I know, counsel, this is outside the scope of this particular thing, but I do know you do have some background in the culinary arts. To what extent are random spring break girls allowed into kitchens during food service?
Well, I had questions about that myself. I also had questions about what the hell Carlos was wearing in that kitchen. Open-toe shoes, some random long skirt thing that was wrapped around him, and no sleeves. So
that did seem problematic as well. There, and I do believe
we're burning for him as I saw him walking around with no sleeves. My toes were hurting as I thought about knives, pans, food, oil, cold shit, anything falling on his little toesies. Like, no, terrible.
I
Bad
did.
role
Speaking of
modeling.
toes, in the pleadings, I do have a note that in the very beginning of the film, there were some very prominent toe rings. Do you have any sort of opinion about the appearance of the toe rings?
I thought they were fun.
I also have some questions about there were several characters who seemed to have an inability to use sunscreen, despite the fact that the dead red dork, Eddie, he had a moment where he lays on the beach to get a tan. And we know that because he's white as white, he is going to burn.
He also
So
put cooking oil on himself to increase the
yes,
cooking.
but according to the pleadings, at one point, Alexa has a very noticeable sunburn. Do you believe that is down to bad scheduling, inability to shoot scenes in a timely fashion, or was just that she did not know how to apply sunscreen?
Yes.
So I've got more issues here. How would you describe the choreography? There definitely were a lot of just random, according to what I have in my pleadings here, there's a lot of dancing, but was it good?
Overall, no, but the scene where Alexa was in the bar trying to steal Justin, when she got up and danced, I guess it was in her imagination. But I mean, she clearly is a dancer of some sort. And I was like, okay, she didn't do too bad. I will say though that ending choreographed dance made me sad. It made me sad because it was like they were trying to channel Michael Jackson, like at the height of his popularity, but like a very mediocre attempt at it. And then obviously it could be problematic to reference Michael Jackson any damn way. But I was just like, this is embarrassing for everyone involved. And the choreographed scenes on the beach, very weird. It was just very weird. The best dancing in the movie was honestly the salsa and rueda dancers that Kaya got to hang out with.
So counsel, we've discussed a lot of sort of the tangential issues and some of the more technical issues, but what I'm really concerned about is, was there a plot? And if so, what was it?
The plot was that at some point we needed to have a clash of the men pursuing this woman, a clash of the friends, so that she would know what kind of horrible people are in her story, in her circle rather. And we settled that with a high stakes hovercraft battle.
Counsel, what you're telling me sounds pretty awesome. I don't see how there's any way that a high stakes hovercraft battle could in any way not be awesome.
Well,
persuade me.
So. You would assume so. First of all, the rules were completely unclear. The betting was completely bizarre. He didn't have paper. He's just collecting money from people. So it seems like he just wanted to get his ass beat, really. And then Justin was so confident that he was going to win. And he got dunked on multiple times. And then the other guy who was winning crashed and burned. And then it was over. And somehow he ended up with like some wound inside his helmet. And then
it seems like a bad helmet design.
And I'm like, aren't helmets supposed to help you avoid head injuries? What was in that helmet? Like a piece of sharp plastic or something? Not very good. And it was way too short. Like I wanted the music to change, to be a little bit more dramatic. I wanted it to slow down in parts, speed up, like you see in like an action movie.
You're looking for like some Zack Snyder is what you're telling me. You wanted Zack Snyder level visuals in the high stakes hovercraft battle from Justin to Kelly.
Well, if you're going to give me a high stakes hovercraft battle, now how that was supposed to decide who her man was or what. I don't know what they were supposed to be deciding. Like, either she has a boyfriend or she doesn't, and you can pursue her or you just need to back off. But for some reason, they had to have a high stakes hovercraft battle. Still not quite sure how that plot fits, but hey, we did it. Then she learned that shady cock blocking sabotaging friend is actually terrible. And of course, because family values, she gets to admit her faults, go and snatch Justin back from the airport. I guess flights don't matter. And take him back to the marina to go and meet Kelly, who is wearing this weird purple, low-waisted flapper type dress skirt thingy. Love the purple, but not on the eyes. The makeup was garish. But the purple dress was a nice color. It just was a weird shape. And then the friend gets to be like, she's like, how did you know I was here? And then the friend is like, I brought him. I'm a terrible person, but here's my redemptive arc. And then she fades from scene, which was not awkward at all.
Well, speaking of awkward, I see here in the pleadings that there was a very other high stakes competition that the Pennsylvania posse had come specifically to Miami to implement, and that would be the whipped cream bikini contest.
As a culinary artist and all around person with reasonable brain, it's hot as hell outside. So people are turning red like lobsters, but somehow whipped cream is supposed to sit on a hot ass human body and not melt.
I kind of got that. My understanding of this council is that the idea is we take naked girls, we put whipped cream on them, and it immediately melts, so we see them titties.
Oh, okay. So all the women were supposed to be stupid.
And that does seem, you do seem to make a valid point there. How stupid were the people in this film? Because it seems to me that the plot is paper thin and is 100% related to people not being able to keep a phone number.
But also, okay, that was something that we were all like, he's texting somebody. She knows she's not getting text messages. And y'all were on a boat this whole time and y'all never discussed what y'all talked about on the phone? Like, you never said, hey, you never texted me or called me. And you never said, man, your text messages are so hot and cold. What the fuck is that? Like, none of that ever happened. And y'all on that long ass boat ride.
So are you saying, counsel, that this entire film could have been solved in the first 5 minutes if Kelly had just asked Justin if he had her number and if in fact he had texted her?
Yes. And also, I was sitting here thinking, you know, this could have been like a 5 to 8 minute short. Like right before you said that, I was like, this could have been a 5 to 8 minute short. And it probably would have been so much better. So much
was
better.
There, I'm thinking of the cliches that we see a lot in these meet cutes. So was there ever at a point where a napkin or a paper towel was used with some kind of non-indelible form of writing utensil, like a lipstick or a lip balm or something?
It's funny you should mention that, because in my notes, I put coincidental bathroom run in.
Is this a meeting in the bathroom? Would you consider that a meet cute?
Sounds like a start of a very fun raunchy evening to me. But you know, they didn't take it there.
To your understanding, counsel, did Kelly, and we don't know what her last name is because nobody has last names in this film, according to the information in my pleadings. No one has a last name. We do eventually find out what they are called at some point, but was it ever established that Kelly herself had a cell phone?
She did have a cell phone. We
I'm
never
just puzzled
saw it.
and flummoxed here, counsel, because I don't understand why she didn't take his phone, put her number in it, and give it back to him like every person in the world has done since cell phones were invented.
I think that the directors told us that everyone in this movie is not a thinker.
That is
And
fair.
if anyone here, except Alexa, and she's conniving, which she admits that she's conniving. Anika Noni Rose kind of was a thinker for like a hot minute. Ooh, that reminds me. When they were at the pool, see, this is a bad movie for friendship. Because when they were at the pool, Alexa was trying to pour her heart out to her friends and explain that she's not just a party girl. She has layers, like an onion, like an
Shrek?
ogre. Like an ogre, she has layers. Not a parfait, because everybody loves parfait.
Everybody loves a parfait.
But an onion and an ogre. She had layers. And you know what her two best friends did? They laughed at her.
Counsel, I'm glad you brought that up, because I also see in your pleadings in the brief that you prepared for us that at one point there was some foreshadowing about Alexa. I do believe at some point either she or she herself called herself a bad friend and said that she's the worst friend in the world, or one of the other two friends described her as, and it might be in that instance that you were just describing where she's pouring her heart out and they're like, you're the worst friend, Alexa. And then isn't it true that they are to blame to some extent for?
Absolutely not. No, because when they were walking down the beach, Kaya and Kelly let Alexa walk ahead of them after she was doing all this bullshit, and after she had already given Justin her number and said, ooh, this is Kelly's number, and tried to sway him from going after Kelly. Kaya tells Kelly, well, you need to go get him because she does like him because you like him. That right there. And they laughed, which lets you know that this is not new for her. They knew to look out for this. And then you still didn't want to check when you know this is her pattern. Nobody here is a thinker except Alexa.
Yeah, I do see that Alexa seems to have quite a, I mean, and can you explain for me how it isn't a plus for this film that Alexa does kind of have a diabolical plan? So her plan is, I see here written down literally in the brief that I have before me, Alexa's plan is kind of diabolical. So basically, her plan is diabolical, but it's immediately foiled. So her plan is she gives her number to Justin, saying it's Kelly's number. Justin immediately texts her and she writes, sorry, not interested. Now, how do you square the circle here? Because it's very clear. They had a meet cute. They met in a bathroom. Kelly told Justin a secret that I, as a woman, hoped would not be revealed, which is every woman's bathroom has a secret escape hatch. And then Kelly proceeded to reveal that secret to him and helped him to escape. But in doing so, she did not have access to his cell phone, so she had to drop a phone number to him. So in the part of this meet cute, she spent so much time assisting him. How do you square the circle that he would receive a text from her after that escapade saying, sorry, not interested, and would accept that?
Nobody expected him to accept that.
But in fact, did he not, though, seem to appear to have accepted it?
No.
He did not accept it. Okay, I appreciate
if
that.
he had accepted it, there would not have been a boat ride. He would not have been able to spill hot sauce on her. He would not have been able to meet Alexa at the bar after Kelly had told him to meet her at the beach.
Right. And I do see
they texted back and forth, which means that he did not accept that. He pursued her, and I don't believe that was good feminism.
I don't think it was good feminism. I agree with you on that, counsel. I am
She's a
persuaded
bad
that.
feminist.
But I also feel that there are other reasons. There was reasons for us to know that none of these girls are actually friends with Kelly. And the reason that as I have here in this brief, it said Kelly had to know Alexa was not her friend for letting her wear that heinous spandex top and tutu. She let her walk out looking like that. So how could the filmmakers expect us to believe that these are friends when they're allowing each other to walk out wearing dresses that are made of neckties, spandex tops, weird hair, and weird chunky highlights that even in 2003, one could argue were outmoded at that point. I believe 1988, if I'm correct, counsel. I'm looking at these at the amicus. We got some amicus, and that was from all hairstylists from 1997 to 2022, brought to us several amicus briefs saying that the chunky highlight was officially dead in 1999. That was the last time it was acceptable. What is your take on, were these people friends at all?
Yes. They were best enemies.
So these were frenemies.
The same as a frenemy. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I buy that.
Because
I totally buy that.
Alexa is mediocre, but she's skinny. So then you have this coding of Kelly as fat at the beginning. She wears all these layers, all this clothes. She's completely covered up. She doesn't wear the two-piece bathing suit. Like, only her back is showing. Like, she's always like covered. Even like when she does the midriff thing, like there's stuff dangling in front of it. And that may have just been a comfort thing for Kelly Clarkson as an actress. But I also know, as a person who grew up watching TV from the 90s through now, that is one of the ways that you code someone to be fat and therefore unattractive. And so she had to blossom, which is another sad, unnecessary trope.
I do also wonder, my question is, and of course, Alexa is obviously the bad friend. She's the slutty whore. She's been coded as the slapper, basically. But I don't understand. Can you please explain to me, counsel? And if you can't, I understand. But how are we coding this very skinny girl with big boobs and big blue eyes, who actually is a talented dancer and singer and seem to have the least offensive dress sense of anybody? Because even Anika, they put her in some pretty heinous outfits. So how do you explain the directors expecting us to believe that Alexa was not a sexy lady that could have gotten literally any guy on that beach?
I do not believe that that's my job. I believe that is opposing counsel's job. So
well, at this point, I think maybe it's time.
Yes. I rest my case.
If it please the court, thank you. I'm here to some of these malicious things that have been said, spurious.
Objection sustained.
I withdraw my statement, but what I'd like to say is there's a lot of great things about this film. First of all, it is the debut of Justin Guarini and his hair to the cinema. This man, I believe, could have been Elvis for his generation had he only been allowed to continue, because this film showed he has charisma, he can dance, he has animal magnetism, even though he weighed 125 pounds. He's bringing the twink realness that we didn't know we wanted in 2003. He's bringing the magnetism of a man who knows that if he has sex with you, he's going to grind his hip bones into your hips and cause sciatica. He knows this, and yet he persists. He cannot be stopped.
Counsel, I want to ask you a few questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Speaking of hair, what was going on with the hair in this movie?
Listen,
tell
Your
me
Honor,
why I shouldn't hate every last inch of it.
I have a theory, Your Honor, and I understand that my esteemed opposing counsel does believe that there was, in fact, a stylist hired here. I am not. It is not my opinion, and based on what I have seen in my briefs, I believe each party was responsible for their own hair and makeup. And in the event that they were, in fact, responsible for their own hair and makeup, I do believe that this is high quality. There were so many bobby pins in Kelly Clarkson's hair when she had to the accoutrements that she put on for her battle scene, when she and Kaya had to go and fight it out at the pool and have that pool battle with Justin because he didn't take her boating or whatever. That hair was so pointy.
Yes.
The pointiness alone is a choice. That's a character choice. It's a very strong look for somebody who is obviously a nice young Texan girl who favors jean skirts and neckties as apparel.
Okay, what about the mullets?
Listen, it's hot. And sometimes you just want the top of your head to be cool, but the back you want to leave long in case there's a lot of air conditioning in the hotel.
Okay, I'll allow it.
So if I may continue, I would like to say this is the one and only film I have ever seen. And I've seen many, many films over the course of my law career as a legal film appellate attorney. And I have never, ever seen a toe ring as prominently featured in an opening sequence as in this film.
And why, pray tell, is that a good thing?
Toe rings are an unnecessary jewel. They have no purpose, and yet people wear them. And I think that if you like toes and if you like putting stuff on them, that you should be allowed to do so. And the fact that we had the level of visibility for toe ring fetishists that we have not since seen, even in films like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness or Everything Everywhere All at Once, nobody was wearing toe rings. We never even saw bare feet. I put to you that this
Okay.
So I just think it's very important for the foot fetishists out there and just the foot appreciators out there and the people with feet that like to put toe rings on them. This is the movie for you. You will never see this again in cinema. I don't even know if you can purchase toe rings in 2022. So this might be the last gasp. So get into it.
Okay, your counsel. I thank you for that argument. I would like to understand what value the trash lyrics brought.
Yes, first of all, thank you for that question, because the songs here are really indicative of the emotion that the actors are not otherwise able to express, because the script does not tell them how to feel. So I think that this film is illustrative of what happens when you don't have a script or any rehearsal time and your movie is shot completely on a cell phone and you're doing it live. The improvisation here is necessary because the lyrics are added later. They recorded the film songs, I guess, before they wrote a script. So what they had to do was imbue all the emotion, all the feelings that they expected to be in the script that they forgot to put in there. Because I concede. I have to concede the bad facts here. And the bad facts are that there was no script and they forgot to write a love story. They forgot to put scenes. They spent so much time because in a boy meets girl type movie, at some point there has to be a hilarious misunderstanding that causes them to get broken up so that they can have their big redeeming reunion later on. But the problem here, Your Honor, and I fully concede, is that they forgot to tell us that these guys were in love. They never have a conversation where they share their thoughts and feelings. The longest conversation they have is in the bathroom. And what we learn in that conversation is that there's a secret portal in every woman's restroom to allow them to have a speedy escape. When they're on the boat, they don't talk to each other. They don't look at each other, but they have a beautiful interlude where they're fully able to release their thoughts and feelings about how they're feeling. It's largely palm trees and poles and light fixtures that are getting, because they never look at each other when they're singing to each other the entire time. And Justin is very wrapped up in driving that boat.
That's a good thing that they don't look at each other.
They never looked at each other, but I do feel that the songs are instrumental to this movie, because if we did not have them and the lyrics saying how much people were feeling, we would have no idea of how they were thinking and feeling.
How did you feel about tap dancing and break dancing at the beach?
Oh, yes, I do. I did brief this, Your Honor, and I do have some amicus briefs to that effect as well. Let me look through my notes. Let's see here. Oh, I did want to point out the bucket hat nerd, Eddie, has the best voice of the Pennsylvania Pussy Posse. I did write Pussy Posse because I felt like when they said Pennsylvania and Posse, pussy was understood. I'd like to also point out, this is not what we're here to litigate, but I do think that I did write a footnote in here about the fact that there was a Brandon involved in the choreography of the dances in this film. He is not the guy who played Brandon. That guy's real name is Greg, but the dude whose name is Brandon actually trained in ballet, tap, all types of modern dance, and he was key in doing the choreography for all the dancing in Spider-Man 3. So I just wanted to let you know that there's an actual Pussy Posse connection here, because the dancer who danced as Brandon also helped Tobey Maguire dance terribly in Spider-Man 3.
Oh, okay.
And as we all know, Tobey Maguire is a founding member of the Pussy Posse with Leonardo DiCaprio, that guy from Entourage, and that other little nerdy guy, and the little brother from Teen Witch is also a member of the Pussy Posse, which makes a lot of sense.
I would like to interject here and ask you a question.
Yes, Your Honor.
What wave of feminism did we see in this movie?
Well, I would posit that this is second wave feminism, in that
is what the brief I have in front of me says as well.
In that there is a sort of, Kelly Clarkson was being a good second wave feminist in that she never called herself a feminist and would never call herself a feminist because she loves men. That's what second wave feminism is. I want rights, but I don't want anybody to think I don't like men. And I would never say that, except for this particular man that I definitely don't like because he's not returning my texts. The tap dancing on the beach, I found it. It says here, beach tap dancing. That's what I wrote in my brief. Beach tap dancing.
I would like to see what the brief in front of me says. Tap dancing, ampersand, the beach.
I feel, Your Honor, that you have grokked what we're trying to get a hold here. I've never seen tap dancing on a beach. I don't know why you would tap dance when soft shoe is right there. You just throw the sand and you do some soft shoe if you must.
No,
if the dance
brought a box.
But what I don't understand, and again, I'm not from Florida. I don't know what the culture is. This wasn't what I was tasked with. Perhaps there is a culture of doing modern dance on the beach that we are not aware of. But this actually goes to, I have a theory, Your Honor, and this is, I put to you why I think this is one of the appreciated classics of the early 2000s, is that I do believe there's a neo-realist thread in this film. And here's why. I'm pretty sure half the people that were in this movie didn't sign up to be in it. They do not know that they are in this film to this day. They might have signed a waiver because they thought that they were being background for a commercial or something, but they don't know that they're in this film, because the end of the dances just kind of ended and everybody just kind of is still looking around because they're not sure if that's the end. And there's kind of people just wandering in and out of shots. There's shots of people doing weird stuff like tap dancing on the beach. And it's pretty clear that they just kind of posted up on the beach, started shooting. I don't think they had permits. They shot as quickly as they could, which would explain why so many people are legitimately sunburned in the cast, because they didn't have time to do retakes. They just had to do as much as they could before they got kicked off the beach, which is why they worked into it the character of the beach patroller who keeps coming after Brandon, because he keeps doing unpermitted events like the bikini whipped cream contest. There was a hot girl, we charged them $10, but the guys get in free pool party, which I didn't understand. There were several events, and each time he did the event, they would have the sexy beach patroller who was coded as not sexy because she's wearing a hat.
So, did she really want to stop a crime, or was she stalking him?
It's clear from the end that the beach patroller was a second wave feminist. She had to be good at her job, but she also was using her job specifically to meet men. And so she and Brandon was very easy to stalk because he was always he always came to the same part of the beach to do his schemes. He never thought to go elsewhere, or to maybe even look into getting a permit after the first time he got a ticket and she took all his money. Even though we know that they don't actually take the money from you then and there, but okay, maybe in Miami it's a thing. I don't know. But what I will say is her purpose was specifically to show Brandon that he must respect women, he must respect the law, and that if he fails to do so, which he miserably did, he never respected the law and he never respected women, and he still got rewarded with a hot, sexy girl who told him, I don't give a shit about these rules when I'm not on duty. Let's get to boning.
Okay, so I would like to understand why in 2022 we should watch a movie with men covered in body hair on the beach, women with bizarre highlights, people being peer pressured to stop being workaholics, macho bullshit, choreographed spontaneous dancing, mullets, horny teens portrayed by 30-somethings, and one of the worst pickup lines I've ever heard in my life. You're cute in a way that doesn't make you look easy. Why should we watch that in 2022? Why shouldn't this movie be banned, burned, and ripped from the memory of society? Explain. Defend your client, because if I'm not buying it. You said a lot, I'm not buying it.
This is why From Justin to Kelly is not just a cult classic. It is a legitimate classic that belongs in the Criterion collection. The cinematography.
Bold statement.
The cinematography is like Dogma 95. They didn't bother to use any kind of artificial lighting. They just used whatever they had. They did not care if they were able to shoot where they shot. They just did it. Did they rehearse? No. Did they have a script? Why bother? They showed up, They did it all on the first take, just like those crazy ass Scandinavians did when they were doing Breaking the Waves and all those This is Lars von Trier writ large in America with music. And he made a musical with Bjork. And guess what? That is not an enjoyable film to watch because she dies at the end and it's quite sad. And she's blind and she's going blind the whole time. And it's a musical. Nobody goes blind in this movie. Literally no one goes blind. No one dies. No one is harmed other than the people that have to wear the bikini costumes, which I put to you, that wasn't even whipped cream. It was shaved cream because how else was it going to stay on their bodies? That's brilliant filmmaking. There were toe rings. Have you seen a toe ring in a film lately? I kid you not. Every single universe that Doctor Strange went to, no toe rings. Not even one of them. That makes no sense. Listen, do you like early 80s, early 2000s fashion? Because this here is it. It's coming back. The children at Forever 21 right now are wearing these lowrider jeans. The toe rings are right by the cash register, and you better bet these chunky highlights are coming right back. This is the film for the moment. This is a film for people who like to be free and who want you to know that Justin and Kelly are meant to be.
Okay. Time for closing arguments.
Council, we are each going to receive a reasonable amount of time to do our closing. And if you wish to do a rebuttal because you're the one who's prosecuting this, you're free to do so. But you may start with your closing statement. I will present mine. And again, if you feel like the need to do a rebuttal, you're free to do that.
May it please the court. I'm Chef Rob for the people. And I just want to tell y'all, don't waste your time. Your life is precious. You don't have long to be here. I don't even care if you were here for 120 years. It's not worth it. It is not worth the hour and 20 minutes that felt like 3 hours that this movie stole from me and countless other people. This movie is a menace to society. The movie Menace to Society is actually pretty good. Watch it. But this movie is an actual menace to every society, not just our American society, not just the country that brought us the beauty that is American Idol. Even today, American Idol might exist. I wouldn't know. However, I do know that this movie was so terrible, I have never seen another American Idol movie again. Kelly Clarkson did not want to make this movie. She was forced to do it. Forced to labor in 2003. Or else she couldn't have a music career. She had to make this travesty of a movie, or else they weren't going to let her sing. Imagine where we would be without her music. I was listening to Kelly Clarkson earlier today. It was great. Imagine that. Toe rings out in the open, in public. In public. That speaks for itself. Mullets in 2003. Mullets. Party in the front, not so much. Certainly not business in the back. Or whatever the hell it is, I don't know. I've never had a damn mullet. And they're for good reason. This is not Joe Dirt. Joe Dirt was a fun movie. This was an abomination unto the mullets. Your esteemed honors, the lyrics were trash. Horny teens or college students portrayed by 50-year-olds. Not that 50-year-olds shouldn't work. 50-year-olds should be able to do whatever they want. But why why is Hollywood allowed to exploit these 50-year-olds and force them to pretend to be 20-somethings? They had their 20s and they survived them. And now you're going to make them relive those horrifying experiences? Being drunk, sunburned, almost dying in an epic, high-stakes hovercraft battle? No. I submit to you that this movie should be erased from everyone's memory. It should be locked away in a vault, dipped in concrete, and buried in the deepest trench in the ocean. Hell, throw it in a volcano. It should never be seen again. This movie will rot your brain and it will steal hours of your life. Even though it is only an hour and 20 minutes, it will steal maybe 8-9 hours because you're going to stay awake and you're going to wonder, why would someone torture me and ask me to watch this? Why? Why does this person not love me? Why is this person in my life and choosing to express their hatred for me in this way when they could just leave? Instead, they decided to stab you right in the brain and the heart at once. Ask yourself, why would someone do that? Why would American Idol do this to us? We have given them 20-something years of loyalty, money, advertising, buying terrible albums from weird people. William Hung, that Christmas album. Sanjaya. Those are the travesties that this movie brought us. This is an international shame because American Idol had that weird British dude, what's his name, Simon Cowell, who was mean as fuck. Yeah, he wasn't mean to the directors of this movie. He made all those people cry at those auditions. They were singing their hearts out, but he gave the green light to this garbage. Ryan Seacrest has made billions from garbage like this. Look at the horrifying empires this has spawned. Stop it in its tracks. Do not let it continue. That is your duty. The people rest.
May it please the court, my esteemed opposing counsel's very passionate plea does not fall on deaf ears, and yet I must persist. Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this, and it's come to me. It is my charge to defend this cinematic masterpiece, which has spawned an empire of Kelly Clarkson. Without this, we would not have that other blonde bitch whose name I can't remember right now, but she went ham on that car that time and wants y'all to know about it. Carrie Underwood. Without this film, would we let Jesus take the wheel? No. Without this film, would I have not won the Burrito Road Challenge when I was correctly knowing that some of these terrible people would not have been getting eliminated from American Idol before Mark did? And then he had to buy me a burrito bowl, which ended up being sushi? No! Without Kelly Clarkson, that would not have been possible. Not even a little bit. Without this film, would Justin Guarini not be playing probably dinner theater in Poughkeepsie right now doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat? No, not even a little bit. Without this film, would we have The Princess and the Frog? And I know y'all love Tiana, the first African-American princess, even though was she really a princess, it's debatable. I'm not sure what his deal is, but I'll tell you what I do know. Anika Noni Rose has a Tony. And the visibility of this film, this masterpiece, which was a stepping stone for Anika Noni Rose, led straight to Broadway. Without this film, she would not be in Dreamgirls, assuming Dreamgirls came out after this movie, which I submit to you is clearly a fact. She is still out here on Broadway. She is still out here getting these Tonys. She's on her way to an EGOT, and that would have been impossible without this film. Would we have understood how good we have it with Post Malone if not for Brandon's rapping in this film? Would we not understand how difficult texting is without this film? This film made so many films possible, so many weird technological stalker films. I don't think Insidious would be possible without this film. I don't think that the current Marvel Cinematic Universe would exist without From Justin to Kelly, because this is an infinite universe of infinite possibilities. The Pennsylvania Pussy Posse came to Miami with a plan. They executed that plan. They all got some pussy. Eddie got his girl. He finally found his girl. We know that the beach patroller ended up with Brandon, and Kelly and Justin at least made out a little bit. So that's the closest they got. But they definitely all got together. Now, the Pennsylvania Pussy Posse did achieve their ends. They did achieve their goals. Whipped cream bikini contests were held. Women somehow agreed to pay $10 and the men didn't have to pay to get into the pool party. That is diabolical. That is genius. People were introduced to salsa music that had never heard of it before because they were 14 and now they know about it. People who didn't know about hovercrafts now realize that the way to a woman's heart is to play whirly ball, basically, in a hovercraft and then crash into the other guy so that he gets somewhat injured. Without this movie, we wouldn't have known that. I submit that this is guerrilla filmmaking at its best. This is a film that was made in 2 weeks, clearly, and you can tell because that's the amount of love that went into it. Every single person here was working around the clock to make this happen. Should they have done it? No, but yet they did. Nevertheless, they persisted. And are we still talking? Are we talking about Sanjaya? Have I even thought about Sanjaya for 20 years? No. Have I thought about this film daily since 2003? No. But
no.
am I here, May 27th, 2022, talking about this? Yes, and there's a reason. Because no other movie that is related to the American Idol franchise starring Kelly Clarkson and Justin Guarini has made so many people so mad and yet provided countless hours of entertainment in the deconstruction of said film. The quality of this film is irrelevant. I put to you, it doesn't even matter because we are still here today talking about it. And if this movie didn't exist, would we even be friends? I submit to you, no. I submit to you that our entire friendship is based on the fact that we would in the future have to review this film. And without that, we couldn't even be friends. So I respectfully cede my time and say, From Justin to Kelly is the best film starring Justin Guarini and Kelly Clarkson that has ever been made or ever will be made in the history of the world. Thank you. And I graciously cede my time.
I only have one thing to say. This movie if it could even be called a movie, it's utter shite.
Well, And thus ends the first appellate hearing. Oral arguments have been completed. We will not be doing any kind of written opinions, because guess whose job that is? It's y'all's jobs. It's the people who decided to tell us to watch this particular film's job to tell us who is right here. Is Justin to Kelly the worst film ever made, or is it in fact the best? What do you think? We need you to tell us. Should this film be kept in the film canon, or should it be dipped in concrete and dumped into a volcano like all the original spirits that Xenu dropped in when Scientology was created? Are we going full Xenu on this film, or are we going to let it sit in someone's basement for the next 20 years for some misfortunate person to discover in 2047? It is with a heavy heart that I relinquish my time, because I know I'm unlikely to succeed. And yet I have fought with every fiber of my being to let you know that I can honestly say this is the best movie I've ever seen with Kelly Clarkson in it. Legitimately. And I hope you recognize that. The court of public opinion.
Well, I'm always Chef Rob.
And I'm Chef Kimber. You'll see us next time on the next episode of The Sous Chefs.
Ah.